Welcome to Real Estate Secrets Unlocked, the podcast that takes you inside the minds of the industry's top professionals, revealing their top secrets to success. I'm your host, Danielle and Damianov. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, get ready to learn the latest trends, strategies, and secrets that will help you succeed. Join us as we go beyond the basics and explore what it takes to make it in the world of real estate. So buckle up and get ready for a wild ride. This is Real Estate Secrets Unlocked. Hey everybody, it's Danielle Damianov with Real Estate Secrets Unlocked, and I am here with another episode today with Keuning. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, you did. Great job done.
Perfect. He is with us from Sotheby's in North Carolina. And actually was originally born and raised, I believe, in South Africa. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Johannesburg, South Africa.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about how you got over to the United States and like how you got started in real estate.
Okay, so I got to the United States at the tender age of 19 years old. I came over here on a temporary work visa, and I worked in a country club in Coral Gables. And I just kind of, really liked South Florida. I was lucky enough to be able to stay. And in 2010, I ended up getting my real estate license, and I've been successfully selling real estate in South Florida, basically the whole time up until recently. And about 4 months ago, my family and I moved up here to the Georgia, North Carolina, Blue Ridge area. So we're really
awesome.
Yeah.
Totally different from Miami to Blue Ridge.
It's like a night and day. Yeah, but we really, really love it up here. It's just kind of a nice change for us.
That's awesome. What company did you work for when you were in Miami?
I was with Sotheby's as well in South Florida. I started with them at the beginning of this year. And before that, I was with a boutique brokerage called Elevate Real Estate Brokers. They're located as the Fort Lauderdale area. And I was also with Caleb Williams and with the Coldwell Banker before that.
Oh, okay. I was EWM when I lived in Miami. So
yeah, EWM is like top brokerage.
Yeah, right there in good old Coral Gables. So yeah, that's awesome. So you got started, right away in real estate. What drew you to going into real estate?
I really love helping people, and I also have a fascination for design and beautiful homes. So I think that a combination of those three elements made real estate a really good choice for me.
That's awesome. So now moving from one of the challenges, because I sold real estate in Southwest Florida, moved to Miami and sold there. And one of the challenges you have, whether you're just getting started in real estate or you're moving to a completely different market, is getting clients, right? So what would you say your biggest challenge is, and what are some of the things that you're doing to get clients in your new market?
So, yeah, you're 100% right. Starting from scratch again is never easy. So what I did is I started a YouTube channel, and I've been really consistent uploading videos and content and really just trying to get people to learn about this area, because I don't think that too many people know about it. There are some people that do, and the people that have been here really love it. So I think that that's kind of my goal, is just trying to educate people about the area. I'm highlighting certain little small businesses. I'm getting to meet people. And I think that providing value that way, that I'm just naturally drawing people to want to work with me.
100%. It's funny you said that. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and the lady gets a huge majority of her business from YouTube. So if anybody is listening right now and you're wondering, how can I get business? What you're doing is genius, which is getting out there, social media, YouTube, and highlighting some of the businesses, because those businesses are going to highlight you as well, right?
It's yeah. And we've already made so many great connections. I only really got my North Carolina license at the beginning of last month. And I was already, I'm already got my first listing, and it's a gorgeous property that's on Lake James. If you don't mind, I can plug it for a second. Beautiful lake home. It's got a split floor plan overlooking Lake James. It's got this west-facing view, so you can see the sunsets every single day of the year.
Wow.
Just jaw-dropping, and we're we're asking just under 2.3 million. It's also got a boathouse. It's got a floating dock. It's a boater's paradise. And if you love toys and fishing and all of that, this is a great home, for you to consider.
That's awesome. So now, is your area a lot of people that live there, or is it a lot of seasonal people with Airbnbs? Is this particular home someone's home, or was it like a vacation rental?
So yes, to answer your question, this is somebody's lake home. They don't Airbnb it. They don't need to, but it is a property that if you were going to purchase it for Airbnb purposes, that it would actually make a great Airbnb. I was running the numbers, and it should be bringing in around $800 to $1,000 per night, which would make it an amazing Airbnb if you were to purchase it, even if it was only rented a few days out of the month. But that being said, yes, I really love to help buyers purchase properties for Airbnbs, and this area that we live in is prime for that. We have a lot of people that are purchasing little cabins, homes that are on the lakes, and even other types of multifamily properties that they're either renting out long-term or decided to do the extra work that you need to do to get it ready for an Airbnb, and then essentially make double or triple what you could from a monthly rental. So I do help people to find the right properties to make that happen. I give them all the information that they need to get the properties set up. And then, they end up pretty much hosting the properties and making that passive income.
So you started actually, and we mentioned this before we got on air, that you started with doing some Airbnb management. Were you doing that in South Florida as well, or is that somewhat of a niche that you just got started with in North Carolina?
So, actually, it kind of goes back a little bit because I was in the hospitality industry before getting into real estate. So I worked in some of the top hotels in South Florida, like the Lowe's and the Fontainebleau's, if I could plug some really nice hotels that I worked for. So I think that hospitality is kind of in my blood. And so I think that the whole Airbnb industry kind of came naturally to me, where I'm not just looking at it as, oh, this is extra income, but we're really doing our best to provide a high quality, vacation for somebody at an affordable price. And then we want to essentially create raving fans by doing that. So,
Absolutely.
so that's kind of the whole concept.
And so what's interesting, and I just kind of want to point this out because, as we both know, this podcast is for real estate agents. And a lot of times, people will think about, or not people, but real estate agents will think about going into a niche. Like, I want to help seniors, or I'm going to do probate, or I'm going to do call FSBOs or expired. And your niche is basically kind of going, and sometimes you just fall into a niche, but kind of going more into that luxury Airbnb type of property and working with investors and Airbnb management. So I think that's awesome that you kind of, developed some sort of, niche, because you can really capitalize on that. It's a different niche than what a lot of other real estate agents would naturally think of.
Right. Yeah. And again, and it's just because I have such a passion for it and being in the hotel and hospitality industry before. And then obviously managing Airbnbs myself, as you mentioned, in South Florida. I have all of the tools. I know the right properties. I'm able to give people projections on what their estimated monthly income should be. And then they're able to make a calculated decision on whether that's a good investment for them.
Absolutely. So what would you say the hardest part of your job is?
The hardest part of my job is following up. That's the hardest part of my job, because I usually get distracted with all kinds of other things that realtors kind of get, distracted with, right? So I love marketing and advertising, and that's like what I'm the best at. But the hardest part of my job is just following up with people that need to buy in 6 months or a year from now, and it's something that I'm working on. So, in the future, you'll be hearing from me a lot more.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's honestly the hardest part of anybody's job, especially any salesperson's job. I cannot even begin to stress how many people lose money from not following up enough, right? So that is definitely one of the hardest parts of any salesperson's job. Now, in terms of like lead generation, what would you say like your top 3 lead gen strategies are? So we mentioned YouTube.
Right. So, and YouTube, we can kind of encompass that as and social media as
Right.
one, because I do focus a lot of my efforts in social media, and I do get a lot of leads from social media, just from people that are either following me on Instagram or on YouTube or on Facebook and so forth. And then the second one is a little bit of a combination of that, where we're using targeted ads and video and that kind of thing in certain kinds of area, and then I'm doubling up the efforts with mail outs and postcards and that kind of thing. So again, the sellers are getting a little bit more familiar with me, and I'm a little bit closer to home. And I think as soon as you become top of mind for that particular person, then and your proximity to them, I think that your chances of getting a listing or working with them on a buyer's side, increases dramatically.
Totally.
And the third one is just we go to a lot of networking events, and we go to not necessarily networking events, but community events. We're involved with the school that my daughter goes to. It's a private school down the road. So there's a lot of parents and things like that where, obviously you would love to make great relationships with and so forth. So we're just out there in the community, meeting people. And I think that by those 3 things is probably my top 3.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about social media. That honestly, if you're especially in a seasonal market, like where I live, I'm in a seasonal market, right? So if most of Florida, I want to say, is a seasonal market. So if you have people living in those northern states and they're looking for a listing agent or a buyer agent or whatever, they're going to go online, because it's not like I grew up and was born and raised in a very small town where everybody knew everybody. But when you're in that seasonal market, it's not like that. So the small town strategy might be a little bit different than, the strategy that you have when you are more seasonal, because you have to be visible online and not necessarily just visible in the community. So it sounds like you're doing a mix of both. We talked a little while ago about, lead follow-up, and that like biggest issue that every single real estate agent or salesperson has. What are you using for a CRM?
So the CRM that I have right now is the CRM that we have through my company,
Bench.
through my brokerage. But I also have other, let's say, sales funnels and other types of ways of capturing leads, and then also just keeping in touch with those guys. But yes, as I mentioned, it's something that I do need to be putting more efforts into, and we've figured out other ways to make it more personal and less about business. And I think that that's a strategy that we're going to be implementing a lot more moving forward.
Definitely. So when it comes to like your videos, tell me a little bit on how you do your videos, because I know there's so many agents out there that are like, I'm scared of video. I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to do this. And then they don't really know what tools to use. Like, I try to make things so simple. So what are the tools that you use when doing your videos?
Okay. So yeah, I mean, that's a really great question. And I think that, starting simple is really important, especially if you are an amateur or beginner getting into it. Second thing is that you can't really be afraid of failing. We're all gonna not really love our voice, or we're not gonna love the way that the video turns out, especially in the beginning. So I think that we just have to kind of overcome those hurdles. And those are, those things that we're telling ourselves of why we shouldn't be doing it. But the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it. And then you can kind of start adding more equipment to your repertoire. And then, yeah, for me, I bought a drone video, and I purchased a nice, high, a good quality camera, just because I'm kind of using it to display my area that I live in. So we're using a lot of drone photography and um, footage to capture the mountains and the area that I live in. As I mentioned, not really too many people are aware of it over here. So I'm just doing my best to capture the best light that I can. And then I'm creating short videos, not like crazy 20 to 30-minute videos that are usually less than 5 minutes long. And I'm usually just doing my best to tell a little story. And I think that that's what everybody should try to focus on. Even if it's a 5-minute or a 10-minute video, just do your best to be your authentic self, be true to yourself, talk about a topic that you are really good at and interested in. And, I think that when you do that, that it's going to really come through and shine really well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. So what would be a couple of tips that you have for a real estate agent that might just be starting out, or a real estate agent that is looking to move markets? A couple of tips on what they should be doing, because you've been in North Carolina for how many months?
I moved to North Georgia, so I'm right on the North Carolina border.
Okay.
We've barely been here for 4 months.
And you got your first listing at literally over $2 million, which is
right, exactly. So, and I've actually only had my North Carolina license for about a month. Actually, I'm on my 1-month anniversary today. So, yes, you can do it. You can do it, and you can make it happen quickly. And I think, again, just kind of touching back on already some of the things that I said before, creating a strong social media presence and having a brand is important. So I already kind of did that from the moment that I moved here, and I used video to convey that message the best way that I could. So the person that ended up providing me with this opportunity to list their property saw, what I can bring to the table. They noticed that I have a very strong marketing and advertising ability and presence, and they knew that if they were going to give me the listing, that I was going to do my best to make it shine and to get them the highest offer possible. So yes, I think that if you kind of model that, I think that it will kind of work for anybody. And I have been doing real estate for a long time. I got my license in 2010, so I am a bit of a seasoned agent, even though I am a little younger. I'm only 36 years old today.
Today? Like, your birthday's today?
Well,
okay. I was like, wait.
It's on the 28th of December if anybody wants to buy me a present.
Mine's on the 9th.
All right, awesome. And so, I think all the best people are born in December. So, I just think that, you got to have a strong, and also make sure that you're updating like everything, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, your Realtor.com, all of those agent profile pages that are essentially free marketing. Make sure that you're updating that right away. And also make sure that you are using those tools that you have. Yes, I mean, you may get a lot of business already from Instagram or from Facebook, but don't put all of your eggs in one basket. I think that, it's good to kind of start using some other social media platforms, and even Threads right now is starting to prove to be, a little bit of a competitor to X, or former Twitter. So we're starting to see those platforms also pay off in terms of providing us with interests, right? People that are raising their hand and saying, oh, this is a really beautiful area. How much would a little log cabin be, or something like that over there? And then you can kind of start the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have 3 points to point out here. Number one is, when you said don't put all your eggs in one basket, you cannot be more right on that. I have spent a lot of time on Facebook. I get a lot of leads from Facebook. I have a lot of followers on Facebook, and my Facebook got hacked, and I had no Facebook for a couple of months. It was terrible. In fact, a lot of people communicate with me on Facebook Messenger. I don't even talk on the phone to them. We communicate on Messenger. They call me on Messenger. So when my Facebook was down for several months, I felt lost, right? So you definitely do not want to put all of your eggs in one basket. The second point that I want to bring up is, like you had mentioned about lead follow-up before. One of the things that I am guilty of doing is people comment on my stuff and I don't respond because I have too many. And that's lead follow-up right there, right? Like following up on your comments, following up on the people that are messaging you and stuff like that. And I have too many Facebook pages that it's becoming a problem. So,
well, Danielle, you may want to think about hiring a VA.
I have several.
Because you could, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we wanted a VAs, you can leverage their time to just help with that because yes, you are leaving some, you're leaving some business on the table over there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the third thing I want to mention is as you moved to Georgia, North Carolina, and I moved, to Miami, both of us had been seasoned real estate agents before. The biggest thing, so this is just something out there for any agent that's thinking about making a move, or even a newer agent sometimes, is, a lot of times we might think, like when I moved to Miami, I interviewed several brokerages. And what was so important to me was name recognition, because I knew I was going to move somewhere where they were not going to know me. And if I went with a mom and pop shop, and I'm not saying that that's not, at some point in your career, something to do, but if you're moving markets, I think it is important to go with a name brand brokerage like Sotheby's, like EWM, like Compass, like EXP or Keller Williams, because they're going to know the brand and the name,
right?
Even if you don't have a track record in that market.
Right. And yeah, that's a great point that you brought up. And I had in fact joined Sotheby's in South Florida at the beginning of this year in anticipation joining the Sotheby's in the Highlands when we moved up here later in the year. So, and yeah, it has massive name recognition in my area, whereas, I'm still building a name for myself as a broker in this area. So yeah, half of the job's already done when you're joining the number one brokerage that have majority of the listings that they're outselling, the next brokerage by $20 million or something ridiculous. So, well, I guess in some markets that could be one sale. But in Highlands, it is a luxury market. Most people do want to be working with a luxury broker. And so, of course, if you are working with the luxury broker and they're the best in your market, your chances of getting that listing or working with that buyer do increase. But it doesn't mean that working with a small brokerage or working with a no-name brokerage is not going to get you any business. It obviously does depend on the individual, what you're bringing to the table, how charismatic you are, and obviously the most important is how much you really care about your clients and their needs.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit. You also do crypto, right?
Yeah. And oh my gosh,
it's a passion. I could tell.
For like an entire day.
I can tell it's a passion because when I said crypto, you were, smiling. And so tell me a little bit about like how you got into that. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I know like nothing about crypto.
All right. Well, that's awesome because I'm usually having an intro conversation to people about cryptocurrency, like, people that have never purchased it, people that don't know anything about it. So I can probably use about 5 minutes right now and just talk about it. So I have been invested in cryptocurrency since 2015. And, maybe that's not that long ago, but, 8 years, I think, is a pretty good amount of time in the space. I was introduced to cryptocurrency by a neighbor of mine, and he was a computer programmer and very nerdy kind of individual. And he was like, listen, you got to buy Bitcoin. This was back in 2013. And I was like, well, what is it? I don't understand what, and he was like, well, it's a decentralized currency. And I was like, that's interesting, but that just sounds like a Ponzi scheme to me, right? I think that's probably everybody's first kind of impression is, well, I got to use my US dollars to go and buy this online funding money, right? And now it's going to go up in value, hopefully, right? And that's kind of what everybody's initial thought process is to a certain degree. Well, maybe that's not your thought process, but that's what a lot of people will tell me on the phone. And so I say to them, well, okay, let's look at cryptocurrency and we can kind of tie it into real estate in a little way. If we look at Bitcoin, which was the very first cryptocurrency that was created, which was in 2009, and it was created by an anonymous person. We don't know who created it, but they went by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, and that's like a Japanese name. So we would, I guess, be inclined to think that the person's Asian. but again, we don't really know who it is. So what they decided to do,
Elon Musk.
and maybe I think there's a possibility, but whatever let's not speculate. The person that created Bitcoin was a very smart individual because they really understood that our financial industry and our banking industry has a lot of issues, a lot of problems, right? We have the issue of security. We have the issue of inflation, right? The more money that they print, the less value we have, the less purchasing power we have. So we have to work harder all the time to end up paying the same things, right? Like, oh, this bill went up. Oh, that bill went up. Oh, our groceries are double or triple the price that they were 2 or 3 years ago, right? And that's pretty much across the board with everything. So if we actually look at facts, since 1913, when the Federal Reserve Bank was established until today, the United States dollar has lost 99.97% of all of its value, all right, in that time period through the printing of money. Each time they print money, the more value we lose, right? And so the money supply just got expanded by 80% within the last 3 years since COVID-19 began. And so that should be a huge red flag for anybody that we're in for troubling times. And the inflation that we're seeing right now is just the beginning of a much bigger problem that we're going to be facing in years to come. So what is Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin solves this problem because there's only 21 million Bitcoin in existence. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. So there's a limited supply of Bitcoin. Just like in real estate, when there's this limited supply of beautiful homes in a community, it typically keeps the value of those homes at a high price. Or like the properties that are surrounding Central Park or, the Bay Area, San Francisco, whatever. Right. So 21 million Bitcoin. Now we've mined 93% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be in existence already, meaning that there's only 7% left to be mined. And every 4 years, the Bitcoin protocol makes it that the Bitcoin that's available gets cut in half. So you have a network that's expanding at a pretty rapid rate, all right? And it has been doing that for the last decade, essentially. But even though I say that, today Bitcoin has only the amount of users that the internet had in 1997, which is like 170 million users, which is really very small, right? We're not even at 1 billion yet. So yeah, the market cap of Bitcoin has already hit $1 trillion, and that was in the last bull run, where it hit $66,000. And what caused that bull run? Well, it's just what I mentioned, was that every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin gets cut in half. So this is what causes the price to go up. And we're just about to go into a new bull run right now, which is going to happen on April 26th of next year, 2024. So between now and then, the price of Bitcoin will go up. And after that date, the price of Bitcoin is going to explode. And it's probably going to explode way over 6 figures, and probably hit somewhere around $200,000 or a little less than that. And some projections have it going up to as high as $500,000 or more in this next cycle, right? Which would be climaxing somewhere around summer of 2025, which would be somewhere where the height would be. Now, I'm not, saying to anybody, go out and, take a line of credit out of your house to go buy Bitcoin. But yes, this is a tremendous opportunity for anybody that, would like to get involved in this space. But for me, it's just really kind of an escape from this inflation. It's more of like a long-term investment for me. I just kind of want to hold it as long as possible, not really tell anybody that I have it, because I think in the future you may end up becoming a target. So, and also if you are going to be buying Bitcoin or anything else, make sure that you're doing it on a trustworthy exchange, because a lot of people use these exchanges and then they end up, basically going bankrupt, and then they lose all of their investments. So Coinbase or Gemini, Crypto.com, those are some trustworthy, safe exchanges that have been around for a while, and then learn how to essentially transfer that Bitcoin or cryptocurrency onto a cold storage wallet, where you can then keep in a safe place, and then it'll be really safe.
So if somebody wanted to get into Bitcoin, let's just say entry level, how much would they actually need to like it mean something? Do you know what I mean?
So, well, I mean, I would say that you could purchase 0.1 of a Bitcoin, and I think that having a 0.1 of a Bitcoin today is of market value of $3,800. All right, like a tenth of a Bitcoin, because the market value of one Bitcoin is around 38,000, so or maybe a little bit more. It obviously fluctuates every day, but let's just say it's 38,000 today. So having 0.1 of a Bitcoin at point, so that would be $3,800 worth of Bitcoin. I would say that that's a safe amount of Bitcoin to have. And if you could try to accumulate that now and hold that for a 10-year period, I would say that would be a very good investment. At least something that's not a huge number, but I would say that number would probably increase that investment would probably do a lot better than pretty much anything else. And if we look at how Bitcoin has performed over the last decade, it's got up 1,500,000%.
Wow.
Since 2000.
What would you say the ROI would be on something like that?
Oh yeah, well that's what the ROI is, right? So if you purchased Bitcoin in 2010 and you bought it at 2 cents a Bitcoin, and then you sold it today, hopefully you're not going to do that, but if you did, you'd make a gain of 1,500,000%. That's your ROI. Now let's say that would be a ROI over the next 10 years,
right?
But I would say that if in theory it's been going up. 3 years ago is a positive, and then 1 year would be a negative. So that's the 4-year trend. And over a decade, we're looking at about, it's about 180% on average every year over a decade.
Wow.
I don't think there's really anything.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. So in regards to Bitcoin in real estate, I know that, a lot of times people will have a lot of money in Bitcoin, right? And want to be able to use those funds to purchase real estate. Have you run into any of that?
Yes. And that's also a really good question, because I think that we're going to start to see more and more real estate transactions being incorporated with cryptocurrency, people wanting to try to amass as much Bitcoin that they can. And obviously your home and other large ticket items like that would be the best way to get as much Bitcoin as possible. So yes, there are already title companies and cryptocurrencies. Well, one of them is called Proppy, and the crypto ticker symbol number is PRO. That company does real estate transactions that are on the blockchain. And if I can't relate to all the cryptocurrencies that they use, but I know for a fact that you can use like a US stable coin like Tether or USD, and you can use cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Bitcoin for sure. So you can use already 3 different types of cryptocurrencies to do a transaction. Doesn't matter the property, it doesn't matter where it is in the United States. All you need is 2 parties that want to do it, the buyer and the seller. That's it.
So I think I just found another niche for you. Aside from your Airbnb rentals, you're going to become the master of how to buy and sell real estate in Bitcoin at the same time. And those are going to be your new YouTube videos. I'm sure you'll have 1 million views.
Yeah, and that's actually what I'm spending a lot of time really trying to master right now. And because of when I give out the information, I want to make sure that it's on point and correct.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on. This was fun. I'm excited for you and your new area. You're going to spend your first winter in.
Yes, it's freezing cold, but I love it. It's awesome.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Yeah, I was born and raised in Massachusetts, so I know you're not as bad as Massachusetts.
No, I just got back from Mass.
Really?
Freezing cold up there, actually.
I know.
Went for Thanksgiving with the widest family, and it was like they said, it's a freezing cold up
It is. It gets that bitter freezing cold. So anyways, Thank you so much, Dylan Keuning with Sotheby's in Highlands, North Carolina.
Highlands, North Carolina. Yep, it's just up the road from me. And so, yes, I am selling properties in North Carolina and also in the state of Georgia. I'm just in the process of getting my Georgia license, but I'll be licensed and selling real estate in both very shortly.
In South Florida, he's got your referrals, so.
Yes, and anybody, I have a ton of really awesome referral partners down in South Florida. So if you guys are looking to buy or sell or invest anywhere in South Florida, I've got the best people depending on wherever you need.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was fun, a lot of fun. I learned a lot about crypto too. And for everybody watching, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I'm trying to build that up. But anyways, thank you so much. This was awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Danielle. You're awesome and have a wonderful day, awesome week.
Well, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Real Estate Secrets Unlocked. Don't forget to subscribe to our show on your favorite platform, and we would love your feedback. Check us out on social and let me know what topics you want more of. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and our show. I'm your host, Danielle Damianov, and until next time, stay motivated, stay excited, and keep growing in this crazy world of real estate. Thanks for listening to Real Estate Secrets Unlocked.